OK, Bridget, what's your choice?
Calm down.
Yeah, the Kardashians have babies, you know. You didn't mind those going in the room.
Well, OK, so obviously they're very cute. If they weren't cute, the human race would have died out a long time ago because early humans would have gone, OK, I've done 3 days now, I'm out. That's enough. I just think they're overrated. I think that they contribute the least to society, that they are the most worshipped and revered people on Earth.
After the Kardashians.
They create chaos. If you replaced any of us with a baby, there would be chaos. Or a pilot, or a bus driver, or...
You can't argue with that. Modern life. So what doesn't Dave like about modern life?
Chunky chips. Chunky chips are so wrong. You know, I cook for a living, but chunky chips, I wouldn't cook them, I wouldn't eat them. It just doesn't work. They're always raw in the middle. They're kind of cooked wrong on the outside. You see, when you deep fry, what happens, Frankie? If you get your temperatures right, like the potato inside, the steam comes out, repels the fat, hence crispness on the outside, softness on the inside. But the thing is, with a chunky chip, it always remains raw on the inside, it sucks the grease in, soggy on the outside.
I'm getting very turned on.
Academically, sexually, sensually, chunky chips don't work. The thing is, if you want thick potatoes like that, you want to have kind of roast potatoes, you know, with the goose fat. You can always sprinkle polenta or a little bit of...
yeah, it's all right. It's not a cookery show.
I just think they're horrible. And when it says on a menu, comes with chunky chips, just forget it. They're just dreadful. And then they come in this, like, Jenga-like pile. So when you get them, they're flaccid, they're soft and they're cold. I mean, they're like a Yeti's member in a stack.
I can see why you didn't make it as a maitre d'.
No, but... And there's something offensive about the way that they stack them like that, like a game of Jenga, that's somehow so pretentious.
What, not as pretentious as saying Jenga? Jenga! I like chunky chips, and I've never noticed them being raw on the inside.
At least with a good French fry. I'm not talking skinny chips, just a nice regular cut chip that's cut to that right kind of diameter, so the outside's crispy, preferably twice cooked.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah, married and everything.
Oh, have you not met her? She's called Janet. I'm with Frank on this. I love a chunky chip.
Yeah, but some people like Morris dancing, and that's wrong as well.
Do you know what? That is a fair argument. To be fair, you can say that at the end of any argument. And
not with me, you can't. I like Morris dancing. Yes.
And chunky chips.
And chunky chips.
You're weird.
Do you like wedges? What about potato wedges?
Well, isn't that when you pull your underwear up? With a potato?
Well, I don't know where the potato comes in.
It's not right.
I don't know anything about cooking, but even I know. Get a bit of duck fat on your finger, rub it on your chunky chip, and then you've got your chunky chip with a crispy outer. Little tip for you, use it if you like.
No, you've got a piece of potato covered in grease.
Oh, that's what a roast potato is.
No, it's not.
I think I'm in a better position. You actually swiveled there. Right, that's it. That's fighting talk.
Well, I went to a restaurant. It was a very, very old-fashioned restaurant indeed. I ordered chunky chips, and they served them like this.
Well, let's see what David has chosen.
My South African accent. As part of my day job, which is pretending to be other people, I do occasionally have to assume another accent. And usually, with a bit of practice and a bit of time, I can make a decent fist of most of them. But my Beecher's Brook, my Waterloo, is the South African accent. I don't know why it should be. I don't know what it is about it that is elusive to my ear, but I've tried and I've struggled, and I can start off all right, and it's not too bad, but it doesn't take very long, and suddenly I'm from Dudley. So I have to concentrate and try and wrestle it back, but it really can't hold on to it for very long. I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. It defeats me every single time.
Well, we have... He's winding up Diane.
Magicians. I think they're quite needy people, generally. Whenever I watch them, I'm never entertained.
That's quite a negative review.
Isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't. There was one that I went to a restaurant, and there was one that was going between the tables, between courses, and showing you a card trick. And then he'd finish the card trick, and he'd wait, and you can't just go. You've got to go. Oh, that was good. How did you do that? So you feel like they're getting more out of this than you are. I think it starts with parents giving kids magic sets. Because if you give a kid a magic set, that's like a starter kit for a psychopath, isn't it?
I never had a magic kit, I must admit. Is it a common gift for children?
For psychopaths, yeah.
OK.
It's so boring. It's like cups and balls. Who cares? Pulling flags out your sleeve. I just can't find any enthusiasm for it.
OK, so, to Frankie.
Celebrity atheist. I am an atheist, but I don't like celebrity atheists. I was a very bad Catholic, unless you include my attitude to condoms, in which case I was an amazing Catholic. But I don't like the judgmental nature of celebrity atheists. I think some religions have done good things. The Quakers fought against the Vietnam War. Liberation theology in Central America, those people all got killed standing up for poor people. And what's the reward? To be looked down on by Ricky Gervais. I don't need Ricky Gervais to tell me that God doesn't exist when I watch Derek get recommissioned twice. I just sort of think, you know, we all need something to get through. You know, and why stand in judgment on what other people need? So Ricky Gervais or Richard Dawkins, whoever, they need retweets or whatever they need. and other people need different things. I just feel the whole thing's a bit religious. You know, so it's the idea of certainty to me is very religious. The idea of judgment is very religious. And it's blaming God, it's blaming religion. You know, they go, religion causes violence. OK, some violence is caused by religion. Some violence is caused by lager. Some violence is caused by people cheating at pool. But at the moment when you go, I'm blaming that on God, that's like you don't get any mayonnaise in your chicken zinger and you blame it on Colonel Sanders.
I can sense Nicola here thinking, what's wrong with violence all of a sudden? OK, so what is Greg's choice?
People who give their dogs specific instructions.
That old chestnut.
I just think a dog is of limited intelligence. It's well established, and there's an argument about whether they're sentient beings or not, whether they have any awareness of self. I can't be bothered to get into that argument, but they're dogs, OK? There are people in my local park who are having full conversations with their dogs. They're going, oh, Coco, don't mess around in that bush. And I think Coco doesn't know he's in a bush. Coco has no concept of what a bush is. Coco is just trying to smell other dogs' wee and try and find something to eat or have sex with. There's a woman in my park who walks about 5 dogs, and she's going, "Oh, Lulu, Lulu, don't play with Coco's stick. That's his stick." Coco has some concept of ownership. And it wasn't his stick anyway. I saw it, he picked it up in the park. And the same can be applied, while I'm on the subject, to toddlers. I don't... I've heard mothers in West London talking to 2-year-olds going, no, don't play with that bowl because you're going to spill food on the floor and someone's going to have to come and clean that up. And the toddler's going, because all they've got a concept of is there's something they can ram in their mouth. They have no concept of the I'm genuinely furious.
What's Noel's choice?
Spiders.
Oh, that's... It was like they had a debate first. Shall we applaud?
Whole gamut of emotions.
Yeah. So why? Why spiders?
Well, I recently went to Australia and that was a whole nother ball game. I mean, I'm frightened of spiders here, but in Australia, they are massive. I mean, literally, one picked me up at the airport. In a taxi.
It's still on your head.
Quite good when we got to the hotel, though, because he picked up all my bags.
But, I mean, they're properly dangerous in Australia as well.
Yeah,
so
well, they can kill you. You know, like here in England, the thing is, in England, you do the sort of postcard cup technique, you know, you try and trap. In Australia, there was one in... This is a true story. Me and my brother were sharing a hotel, doing a bush tour, and there was a huntsman, it's called. And it literally was this big, right, on the wall. So we couldn't even get it in a mug. I had to go to the kitchen and get a mixing bowl, yeah? And we had to use an album. I used Abbey Road, right? This is a true story. And because mixing bowls, they're see-through, they're sort of magnifying. So it was that big anyway. When I put the mixing bowl, its head was bigger than mine. I could see its cheekbones. It was awful. And so I slid the album underneath it and took it outside and I put it out. And it didn't even just go in the bushes. It walked down the sidewalk like a man. Like a man would. It just went off. Crossed the zebra crossing. Must have got the idea from Abbey Road.
He's upsetting Romish.
New Year's Eve. I think it's such an unacceptable day of the year. You know, the fact that you're sort of put under pressure to celebrate it. You know, everyone's sort of geeing up, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? What are you doing for New Year's Eve? And the thing is, it's the wrong time of the year. I know it's supposed to be at the end of the year, and that's OK, but it's just after Christmas. And then people are saying, when do you want to... What are we doing? Where are we meeting up? Well, I've literally spent Christmas period seeing you. Why would I want to see you again so soon after? It needs to be in the middle, like June, July, so we get a 6-month break. Not we're all hanging out, and then a few days later, here we are again. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? And then it's just sort of the whole thing about the whole idea of New Year's Eve, people getting ready with resolutions and stuff. I find resolutions, they should be banned. Because, like, my mum's New Year's resolution was to see me more. No, thank you. It's in complete and direct opposition to what I want to do now.
What's Russell's choice?
Grumpy kids. Exactly, right? I was in a restaurant the other day and I heard a child say, "Oh, Wagamama again." I used to lose my mind when I went to a Harvester. Lose my mind. Go into school the next day, salad bar, amazing. Like, I had an Italian dish called a lasagna. I've got everything. They're whining. They've got wheels in their shoes. iPads. Sky Plus. If you'd have shown me Sky Plus when I was 10, I'd have thought you were a wizard. Like that, towards the telly. And, like, could have been so much worse to just... Every kid I seem to do, like, I'm talking about 10-year-olds, just whining, tubby messes. And... it just does my head in. It could have been worse. You could have grown up in the 80s, where, you know, the telly was awash with offenders, and, you know, it was, you know. And, like, think of the hours we played the recorder. The hours we did that. Have we ever needed it? I've never been at a party. I know what this needs. Girls in the corner. Do you know Little Donkey? You know I do.
We have a picture of you when you were, I think, 12-year-old.
Oh, really?
Russell.
OK. Oh, there you go.
Happy child.
Well, I haven't seen that for a long time. I look a bit like Harry Potter's German pen pal. Who would have thought that when I sat for that picture, it would end up on telly and people would just be like...
I know. Yeah, just
smile. What's the worst that could happen? All right.
When I was at school, the big game for us was a thing called pile-ups, where one kid lay on the floor and 50 kids lay on top. You'd be on the bottom thinking, shouldn't my ribcage be inside my blazer? I feel a bit sorry for kids now, though. I live in quite a sort of a posh bit of London, and I think the kids there just don't get enough sugar. You know, they ask for a cornetto, they get a little box of raisins. That's not parenting.
Well, exactly. I remember, like, remember Angel Delight now? There's a pudding.
Yes.
One bite of that, you know, I'm going on the roof! My sister, it's one of the greatest moments in the Howard family. My sister's eating Angel Delight. She goes, Dad, what's Angel Delight made of? And my dad just went, dead angels. That's parenting. Me and my brother are like, this is the best day ever.
What about Aisling's choice?
Pigeons. Frankly, Frank, I have had enough of these disease-riddled rats of the sky. Yes, thank you. Bit of solidarity there. We've just let them roam around, owning the streets of our cities for far too long, and I don't know why. What do? They're obsolete now. Everyone sends text messages, unlike back in the old days when you used to attach, you know, a bit of paper to their legs. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why British people let them stay around so long, is because of all the hard work they did during the war. But, you know, you don't see other veterans going around Trafalgar Square pooing on the monument. So I don't see why we should allow pigeons. And, you know, they just sort of, there's an arrogance about them. They're like the aggressive sort of man in a pub being like, no, you move. You know, they're like, I just don't like them anymore.
First of all, they are, I think, an important source of exercise for toddlers. I have a 3-year-old, he will chase a pigeon 1.5 miles. You'll run so far, he'll vomit, and then, of course, the pigeon will sort that out. What is Caroline's wild card?
Knickknacks. Yeah. Bibelots, trinkets, bits and bobs. Basically, I've chosen the things that, as I'm getting older, I find myself mysteriously drawn to. I would not have given house room to a stone with 2 googly eyes and a tail when I was 45, but the minute I turn 50, I can't walk through a gift shop without touching cushions with tapestry kittens on, or bookmarks with "Darling sister, how I love thee" on them. It's something I think that happens to you when you hit the menopause, and it's a biological response to crap. And whereas before you were perfectly rational, when you hit the menopause, your temperature goes way up, and you start buying fudge and notepads. and it's like, you can't.
So why don't you put the menopause then into room 101?
Because the menopause is a result of having been fertile, and without fertility, you wouldn't be here.
Mum!
First choice.
Skiing.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, come on. We had a deal. You were going to be on my side. I only went once. But here's the thing. You have to wake up early. You put on genuinely the most disgusting clothes you've ever seen in your life. Padded, multicoloured. This one's got a picture of a rat on it. This has got stripes and circles. Anyway, salopettes. Then you have to put on these massive things, which we shouldn't be wearing, huge metal things that you can't walk in. Then you go on a ski lift. That alone is terrifying, the most terrifying fight. Even though I was just like this, holding on, went round it for 7 days. No, come on. Then you physically exert yourself. Why would anybody ever do that? You go down, it's incredibly dangerous, slushy. Then you have to take it off. At the end, there's some sort of revolting alcohol that makes people, you know, throw up in their boots. I don't understand skiing. Why does anybody go skiing? It's a gazillion pounds. You smell of cheese.
I mean, I admit, I do associate it with the super cool and the super beautiful, and that's why I sort of like it, because I like the idea of them putting themselves in grave danger. But I've never been. It's always seemed like something that other people do, I must
It's
admit.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's all lip gloss. They've all got lip gloss on, and there's straight mouth, and there's ski. Hey! Nobody spends any time with their kids. In you go. In you go. Lucifer. In you go. In you go. Good luck. Oh, don't break anything. Mummy's going up. I'll pick you up. Feed him, feed him. Feed him, I'll pick him up later. It's for tools.
OK, then. So what doesn't Henning like about modern life?
Yeah, well, there is nothing wrong with buckets.
No.
But what they're used for is evil. So what I absolutely hate is anything to do with fundraising. But you know them emails, don't you, Frank? Like, them emails that go like, ooh, I'm going to do a fun thing I always wanted to do. Give generously. I think it's outrageous. I mean, if you want to do something, why do you bother other people about it? I think it's outrageous. Yeah, it's like a friend of mine recently went on a 100k fail walk in the Pennines, and he was seriously angry with me for me not donating any money. I said, listen, where I'm from, you going for a walk shouldn't set me back. You know all them emails, don't you? Like, oh, I'm going to go to Rio de Janeiro, sunbathe on the Copacabana and watch football at the Maracanã for charity. The worst months to live in the UK, without a shadow of a doubt, is November. And that's got nothing to do with Remembrance Sunday, or as I like to call it, highly selective Remembrance Sunday.
On a winner here.
In November, there's people coming up to me asking me for me hard-earned because they are not shaving. November nonsense. I mean, what's the next step? Getting beaten up if you maintain standards and do shave? Who is behind that November movement? Is it the Taliban?
So, what about James's choice?
The shot put.
I realise now I actually misread your choice. You can't not like the shot put, can you?
Oh, I can. Who here is a fan of the shot put? One guy. And he's a liar. Right, here's the problem. At the Olympics, everyone does their stuff and it's amazing, and you're seeing people doing things, you go, I couldn't do that, it looks incredible. The shot put, it just looks rubbish. They throw it, and literally he's here, and he throws it, and it lands there. And I know it's heavy, but I've never held a shot put, so I don't know how heavy it actually is. So I don't know context for it. So all I'm doing on TV is watching someone throw a ball a little way. That is it.
There's a certain method, though. You have to hold it tight to your chin and straighten the arm.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
How's that fun?
The Berlin 1938 Olympics got a big cheer every time. What is John's choice?
Johnny,
I've
go
lost
Johnny.
already, haven't I? It's all over. Whooping in audiences. Shall I leave now?
That was ironic.
Come on, that was pretty good by the audience.
It was.
Fair play.
I'll say.
Straight
it's
in there.
awful. Do you know what? You're not going to believe this. It'll shock you to the very core of your being, Frank, my dear fellow. Gardener's Question Time on Radio 4. Hallowed institution. Any of you listen to it? Of course you do. I'm so regretting this. All the things I could have put in there. Anyway, Gardener's Question Time. At the end of the programme, somebody in a Radio 4 audience, the home service of the BBC, went, "Hoo." I mean, it wasn't a big one. It was. It
might have been an owl.
That is hard to...
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I thought, that's it. It's all over. So
I never get whoops. Do you ever get whoops, Russell, when you're on stage?
When you first walk on...
No, I never get
whoop
whoops.
and cheer. They stare in menacing silence. There's Frank.
No, for me, a good reception is if they're all generally looking in my direction.
What about a nativity? And your child's and is absolutely brilliant. Is it just not...
Oh, God, no, you don't applaud them at all.
You couldn't...
Look, I mean, children have to be brought up to face the real world. And you start at court, I mean, where will it all... They'll expect it.
I think I would have whooped at the nativity.
Oh, yeah, God, yeah.
I think that's fair enough. Quite a big event.
She's at the top, and she's a virgin. Amazing.
Oh, what's winding up Lucy Porter?
Child actors. In most industries, I'm against child labour because of the indignity that the children suffer. In terms of show business, I'm against it because of the indignity that we suffer. There's just something about it that makes my flesh creep about children, because children are meant to be bad actors. And you don't want to see that on screen. Like, I've never seen a good... I don't want to single any out, but all of them are terrible.
Right.
And
is this because you're 4'11", you're sitting at home thinking, I could play that part?
I think so. Well, do you know, because in the olden days, do you remember the film Grease, right?
Yes.
Because in Grease, all the teenagers were at least 40. Like, they all had crow's feet, beer bellies.
I think in the 50s, though, I think teenagers were about 40.
Yeah.
It's a new phenomenon, youth.
It is, and I don't need to see it.
OK, then, let's see what Michael's wild card is.
Oh? I feel terrible doing this, but it's giving grown men stuffed animals and teddy bears as presents. I've had one or two. I've got enough now. I don't need any more. It's the thought that counts, and I do understand that. But why would you buy a teddy or a panda and think that a grown man would relish?
Well, you want to toughen up your image.
Do you know, you're quite right. You're quite right.
I think Kevin's on something there.
Because it's a lovely
Why did they
thing.
send that to you?
I don't know, because they're sending me a hug, and this is... I don't know. And I don't want to get into the psychoanalysis of it. I just don't want any more. And I mean that in a loving way.
Yes, I'm sure.
I really do. But honestly, why? I don't need them.
Have you considered recycling, Michael?
I do. I give them away.
I've been sent probably about a couple of hundred over the years, I would say.
You have?
Yeah.
And what do you do with them?
Well, I'll show you what I do with them. And there's no reason why you shouldn't do this yourself. I had them tailored. Rather fun.
That is awesome.
Let me just get this, get the whole outfit. You have to take... You have to take the stuff out. So what kind of people wind up Miles' job?
people that deserve to go in room 101 are parents who allow their children to climb up slides. This child is climbing up the slide. This is not the way that things are supposed to happen. This child, who may or may not be enjoying themselves, is ruining this child's life. I don't know if it's the sort of thing George Orwell was concerned about when he came up with the idea, but this child belongs in some sort of eternal damnation.
Are you against wheelchair ramps on the same basis?
No, they're clearly a very sensible idea, Frank. I know you were saying before the programme started in makeup, you were going on about how you thought those people had it too easy, but you'll remember I tried to talk you down from that position.
Yes. So you were indeed the voice of reason, I think it's fair to say.
If you don't sort of follow the sort of conventions and systems that we have in society, you don't really deserve to be part of society.
I used to love climbing up slides.
Right, well, you're a danger and a menace.
That's all about what kids do, isn't it? It's about the kids then having a fight, who's going to get up or who's going to get down.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah. No, sorry, yeah. If what you sort of get high on is forcing children to fight and wrestle, I can appreciate this is the sort of thing that you ought to encourage, but...
What doesn't Ray like about modern life?
I can't stand fakes of any description.
Ooh. Oh, the crowd, I'm not sure. You're an authentic man then, Ray.
I like reality, and the world seems to be increasingly full of make-believe fakery, and I think we should beware.
Wow.
I'm feeling really trivial now. I just talked about dancing, and you're talking about the state of the world.
Well, let's look at it. Let's look at a real, genuine sign in a shop. Well, can I put this to you? I've had a difficult life in some areas, Ray. I now find myself, I will sit at home at night, I will drink non-alcoholic wine and smoke an e-cigarette. That's what I've come to. Are you saying I should be drinking real alcohol and smoking?
Yes.
You are, thank you. I think sometimes, Ray, the fakes are more entertaining than the real things. Let me just show you this. Oh. Special man. Look familiar? This, honestly. The new style ninja tortoise. These are... Well, I'm saying they're genuine. They're genuine fakes, is what they are. Look, the trouble is, though, with authenticity, it's quite hard. I mean, I was looking at your website, right, which I look at a lot, and I saw a thing on there, and it's called the Ray Mears Woodlaw Knife.
Oh.
Yeah. Here's the knife. And there it is. It's a lovely-looking thing, nice case and all that, and only 485 quid. Can someone help that woman off the floor? The last time I looked, it said there was a 10-year waiting list. Now, I'm sure the Woodlaw knife is an authentic, handmade, fabulous piece of equipment, but I'd rather have a rubbishy old knife than wait 10 years. I mean, I wouldn't say you're reducing knife crime, but you're slowing it down.
We do our best.
I think possibly the truth is that people can't afford the real things, and they can afford the fake, so they go for the fake. I mean, we tried to get Bear Grylls, 10 grand.
The world is such a filthy, suppurating toilet that there's nothing you can do, and you don't need to be marketed some crazy thing that they invented 20 minutes ago when soap and water does a fine job. So it just, basically the fact that they're trying to make us buy it, carry it around, I mean, you can put it on your belt loop now, just enrages me. really. And I have 3 little kids, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So I live in filth. And I don't get any sicker than the next guy. My wife is a teacher, so she's around other scummy children all the time. And it's just silly. I mean, yes, their germs exist, but, you know, I was talking to a doctor friend of mine recently. Usually when we get sick, it's because of just stuff that's inside our own body that decides to present itself. And what are you going to drink the hand sanitizer? So I say no. I'm not saying no to hygiene. I'm saying no to the unnecessary, very recent invention of, like, soap 2 or whatever. It's so silly.
Apparently, your average hand sanitizer is 65% alcohol, which is 3 times more than vodka. Now, I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
It would be safer for me to have human excrement on my hands. And that is certainly the path I've chosen. Let's see what is angering Robert.
So, managers have been responsible for 1 or 2 minor crimes, mis-selling billions of insurance to us, bankrupting the banks and the economy, but perhaps more than anything, murdering the English language is what gets me. I mean, so, it's sort of a mixture of things. It's sort of pretending to say something meaningful when actually they're saying something meaningless. It's sort of so it's prefacing an expression with a phrase like "going forward." Going forward, we will do something. You don't need going forward. You just have to say we will be doing something or other. And then there are all these sort of weird sort of metaphors, often taken from technology. So let's take this offline and then drill down and we'll kick this whole thing out of the ballpark. I mean, total meaningless nonsense. The more jargon that they use normally associated with the sort of less intelligence that they actually have. And then, I suppose the other side of it, which I dislike intensely, it's the disguising of really quite bad things in language which is meant to sort of make it all sound sort of scientific and technocratic. So, you know, you've probably come across the expression downsizing. Means sacking people. There's another expression which is achieving cost synergies. That's sacking people again.
OK, what aspect of nature winds up Josh?
We're all quite scared now. It's the only thing more controversial than Lord of the Rings. No, this is the home of nature and the great outdoors, and it is Devon.
OK.
Which is where I am from, so this is OK.
Right.
I think Devon's all right if you're not from Devon, because you don't have to have spent your childhood in Devon. To give you an idea of what it's like, my parents have got dial-up internet.
What even is that?
It's like the third world, Frank. Now, I don't want to come across as a city slicker here, but I can make a phone call and go on the internet at the same time in my house.
It's amazing. What? It's like James Bond.
And do you know how many children there were in my year at primary school? 4. 2 boys, 2 girls.
4 children in your year?
Yeah, including me.
You should have done so much better in life, shouldn't you? You had that, like, private schooling.
Someone had said to me when I was 11 I'd get to meet Aled Jones and he'd tell me my life wasn't going very well. I'd have snapped their hand off. There's a kind of rivalry as well between Devon and Cornwall over little things where you go, for instance, I don't know if you were to have a cream tea, Frank.
Oh, it just so happens.
Now, which one of those would you choose? Because one is cream over jam.
Yep.
And one is jam over cream.
One is a Devon scone and
one's
one's a
Devon, and the other is completely disgusting and wrong.
Yeah.
I like jam first and then cream on top.
Correct decision, Sarah Cox.
Oh, really?
No, but that's Cornwall.
That's Cornwall.
No, jam on below, cream on the top, that's Devon.
No,
No, that's
Devon
Cornwall.
Devon is definitely the cream on.
So, the Cornish are right. I was... This place, to tell you how bad this place is, it's worse than Cornwall.
Yes. This gives me the shudders. I'll tell you what, something happened to me. I was at a cricket match, right? And I was with the wife of quite a high-ranking cricket administrator. I won't say who. And she was a sort of, how can I put it? She was sort of full-figured woman. And they started bringing out the cream teas. And I said, because she was the wife of a cricket administrator, I said, I bet you've had a few cream teas in your time.
Oh, dear.
I meant because her husband was a cricket administrator. And I tried to explain that in a sort of a, you know, people, when they're crying, they don't listen. OK, who winds up Catherine?
Cheryl Fernandez Versini.
Nicole.
Nee Tweedy, sir.
Oh, yes.
Now, this young lady is a very talented dancer, singer, beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I'm becoming known for my conspiracy theories. Luckily, this is one of the tamer ones. I don't believe she's human. Cheryl is a robotic creation of the conservative government meant to infiltrate the British people. We don't know what for yet, but just hear me out. David Cameron took office in 2010, the year ShareBot was activated. And that is when she was cheated on by footballer Ashley Cole and had a divorce. That's when she became the nation's sweetheart. Isn't it? Oh, no, not Ashley Cole. Oh, no, you'll become the nation's sweetheart. No, but it's all right, no. We'll make you the nation's sweetheart. I can't do a Geordie up there.
No, but I think I hear a steel band in the distance. OK, what's Ruby's wild card?
My mother. As far as eccentrics, this was the A-lister of A-listers. So I'm grateful to her for some of my comedy. We had a dog that she loved, Lumpy, and this is not tasteful. But, you know, when people came over, he would sort of grab their leg, you know, and it would smear him off. But my mother would go, look, the lover boy, he's dancing. And then she'd go at the party, she'd go, Lumpy, say Heil Hitler. And he'd go like this. I mean, oh no, she was way out there. Oh,
to be fair, he was only following orders.
Can I just say... You get fixed on things, like I do now, you know, where it's like a Russian missile, just honing in. So she came to England and she said, buy a broom. But then she doesn't stop it, right? So we go to the restaurant, she'd go, a broom, and with the bristles, not this, with the bristles. And every night she'd draw it in the tablecloth with a knife, with the bristles. It never stopped. So finally I took her to the airport. She's still going, buy a broom. You could see her through the window. And then sits down. As soon as she gets home, about a few days later, she goes, did you get the broom? And then she says, oh, your Aunt Hamburger died. And then she said, now, what about the broom? And I went, wait, what did you just say? And she said, your Aunt Hamburger died. The broom, buy the broom. And I said, what did you say? She went, okay, back the clock up, 24 hours, she's not dead. Now, buy the broom. That's genius. Yeah.
She sounds marvellous. Yeah. My mum used to say, don't put hot tea bags in the bin or you'll set the bin on fire. Then, let's find out what's winding up Russell Kane.
This genuinely wasn't planned. This is one thing I would like to put in room 101 is men who get grumpier with age. What? And I'll tell you why. Not because I've got any problems with these men, although it would be nice to be around men in their 50s, 60s and 70s who are happy all the time. It's just that I think men would be healthier, happier creatures if we weren't so miserable. Most men, not all men, now and again you do see a happy old man, but it becomes like it's something you stop at point at in the street. If you see like a normal wisdom, look at that happy old man, it's amazing. I don't know what the secret is, I've always been like it. Most men are walking along going, why am I alive? And some men, you get so miserable they can only laugh, you know, if they see, I don't know, if they see a car written off on the M25 motorway. Look at the state of that Jaguar, that'll never run again. We live, men of this country, 5 to 7 years less than women. Doesn't happen in every country. And my theory... it's women cheering. My theory is this. We think ourselves to death, yeah? The less happy you are, the less likely you are to live a long and happy life. Lonely people die before... Now, we know that, on the whole, women tend to be, not always, more emotionally connected than men. If they've got a problem, they get their friends over. Hey, I've got Claude over, I've got Tess over. We talked about the problem, there wasn't a solution, but we lit a candle, and do you know what? I feel better just for talking about it. Whereas men...
That's how it works.
Whereas men will be like, I have a problem, I'm going to hold it inside till it's a diamond, then poo it out and die. Now, the evidence is, in cultures like parts of Sicily, Sardinia, Japan, where there are villages where men can't sort of do that isolation thing, I need time on my own, and the houses are full of aunts and grandmas and daughters, the men's mortality rate equalises with the women. We are literally, by being grumpy, thinking ourselves to death. We're going, oh, I'm not going to speak to anyone, heart attack, death at 60, leaving behind a generation of women, relatively young these days, who then have to pretend to grieve. How will I survive without the miserable sod? What a disaster! How will I go on? Without Barry mocking my parking, how will I survive? You can park forever in the crematorium. Goodbye, Barry.
What's Tim like about modern life?
Well, I can explain what's happening here. What I don't like about modern life, which I think is now exacerbated by the amount of prank shows there are on television nowadays, is the phrase, only joking. This phrase apparently means you can do anything, as long as you then say, only joking afterwards, and then everything's all right. This is an example of a physical thing that can happen. Here I am, this is me here, and I'm quite slim there, and I've got a napkin. I was playing tennis with a napkin. I said, don't serve yet. Anyway, I'm sitting having a lovely meal, and this person here, he's pulled the chair away. I've fallen down, probably hurt my vertebrae, and he has gone, with the red nose there just to sort of underline it, he's gone, only joking, and that's apparently... And I have to go, oh, all right, OK. But that's not a joke. A joke is, I went on a date with a girl called Simile, I don't know what I met her for.
Also, there's no only about joking, is there? Joking is quite a difficult craft. People should say I'm only being serious, because anybody can do that.
Well, you're right.
Your brother does serious television. You could go and do his job tomorrow. Could he do yours? No. In case you don't know, Tim's brother is Sir Trevor McDonald. OK, so what's Sir Trevor's choice?
My choice is queuing. Thank you. Although I should explain, if you turn up at an airport in Naples or something and you're standing in line and waiting to go to the ticket counter and somebody barges in from the right or left side, you think, oh, my goodness, how wonderful it is that this doesn't happen back in London, you know, where people get in an orderly queue and they don't move. But I get very worried when people become obsessed with just the idea of standing in line. We love lines. And you go to the underground station and there are 3 lanes which are empty, and there's one where there are about 100 people, and everybody gets behind the line. And I just get out and I go for the one where there's nobody standing next to it, and I get my ticket and walk away. But it shouldn't really, but it infuriates me.
I think my particular hate on this one is if you're queuing in a cafe, especially if you're on your own, queuing in a cafe, and a family come in and they all go and sit at the last table in the cafe and then join the end of the queue. So you're way ahead of them, but they got the table. Now, that cannot be right. And I know it's just a table, but you just know these are the people, they do the same thing. What kind of people wind up Vernon?
People that drop litter. There you go.
People who drop litter.
Oh, do my head in. I don't understand why people feel the need to drop litter and not take it home and find a bin. If I was to just turn up in your living room, Frank, and empty the contents of my kitchen bin in your front room and then leave, you'd be well annoyed. So why do people do it on the street?
I know what you mean. People shouldn't throw litter, but people like yourself, they do get a bit wound up about it. It's such a terrible thing. Don't you find that litter can sometimes brighten an otherwise grey pavement?
I bought myself and this is actually my own litter picker. I bought it off eBay for $4.99.
Can I say that is not a prop? That Vernon brought that in with him.
I bought it because when we go walking our dog up and down the lane, I live near a farm and there's like rubbish strewn along the side of the road. So I thought, you know what? While I'm walking my dog, I'll clean that up.
This one.
Well, that's a beauty.
I'm thinking I could do a vent act with this. Where have you been, Charlie? Oh, I've been down. I've been to the country lot. I heard it there. Lovely.
Is that really pick up rubbish?
Yeah, it's really to pick up rubbish. What did you think it was
I don't know. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's because my handshake isn't as good as I'd like it.
James Bond.
Wow. Oh, go the crowd.
You see, people are going, oh, like you don't all know that he's a terrible wazzock. James Bond has been a repetitive, ghastly bore for decades. He used to make bad jokes. Now he makes no jokes. He manages to combine, uniquely, I think, violence and sexism with a sort of weird camp fussiness about everything he eats and drinks and does. And yet, women are supposed to find him irresistible because he has special pens. He's clearly a terrible spy. I think it's in, is it The Spy Who Loved Me? There's one where he jumps over a cliff with a parachute featuring a giant Union flag, revealing that he's failed to grasp the basic principles of international espionage.
Yes.
30 years later, Skyfall, he can't even keep one old lady safe, which is not surprising, because his big escape plan is to get away from the helicopters by running across a pitch-black moor with a lantern.
Skyfall did sort of win me back a bit. I remember, you know when you see a film you really love, I walk back to the car. You know when you kind of do like your James Bond. And when I went up to the car, I got my dibber. And it was like it was some super gadget. I just went like, I had to open the car doors. And the lights came on in the car. And I could see the baby seat in the back. And
He takes up poker, which he never played in the books. Suddenly in Casino Royale, he comes in, the new one, as a poker player. He's terrible at poker. The art of reading people at poker is a very fine and nuanced ability to pick up, you know, the faintest change in someone's breathing, in the maths of their betting patterns. James Bond can't beat a man whose eyes bleed when he's bluffing.
I'll tell you what he plays. I think it's in Goldfinger. There's a tense scene. When Goldfinger says, "So, Mr. Bond, does he have a beard?"
How could you improve Bond, then? Who would...
Also, I would never have discovered the Reader's Digest. OK, well, doctors, it's controversial. Right, what kind of people wind up Warren?
People who send emails.
That's a lot of people.
Well, you know, it used to be done via letter. One would take a pen and a piece of paper and take care to write a letter, to date it, to sign it, and to put it in an envelope, stick it down, put a stamp on it, take it to the post box. It was an art form, and it's been forgotten. It's so easy to fire off an email with a few words, no capital letters, no punctuation. Then somebody like myself has to reply to it. then you get another one back. and long emails, they're even more annoying, actually, than these little sentences. Just you have to plough through it to get to the point.
Hold it, that's what letters were like.
The letter is normally on one page, and it's just a nice... You can sit with it on the toilet, you can...
Yeah.
You've all got an image in your head now. But, it's much like this, actually. And,
What, it's a three-seater?
You write an email and it has the wrong tone, people then think, oh, but on the phone you can hear somebody's tone, whether they're happy or angry or what have you, and you can't mistake that.
I once sent a text that had, in brackets, friendly but firm. But you're quite right, if you
really
don't...
need to be introduced to emoticons.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do a smiley face. Sorry, do you use emoticons? OK, what doesn't Lee like about television?
Top Gear. Let's put this to bed straight away. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone in the world when I say cars are boring. Full stop. They're not interesting. And even the producers, I think, of the show know that that's true, because what they talk about is never the reality of cars, our world of cars. It's that fake reality of things like, today we're going to talk about off-road vehicles. Am I the only person in the world that's never driven off a road?
I have. I've gone off, but in a normal car.
Yeah.
Not even. I see those women, and I just
I'm not talking
swerve.
about your heavy drinking days, really. I'm talking about... Yeah, it's the language. The language that doesn't have anything to do with my experience of driving, you know. You know, you'll hear them say things like, you know, if I talked about the new suspension on the Audi 6149, you'd say, but what about the torque? I don't know, I wouldn't.
Lee,
I'd say, where's the cup holder? Because that's the only thing. If it's on the right, good design. If it's on the left, it's a bad design because I'm right-handed. That's it. Anything else?
I know nothing about cars at all. I drive a grey one. And I've never seen Top Gear, because I have no interest in cars. Obviously, I haven't watched it. And so I watched a few episodes. I've got to say, I really liked it. It reminded me of... I played cricket once with Jeffrey Archer, and he was a really nice bloke. I was gutted. What do you drive, then?
Well, as it happens, I drive a 1966 Triumph TR4A IRS, but that's not the point. The point is... But it's not the point, is it? Because...
Oh, you know, that's not true, is it?
No, it is, yeah. But I'd like to point out, because I know nothing about cars, but it's an old 1960s classic car, and I love the look of it. It's a beautiful... I can definitely appreciate...
Oh, God, it's going on now.
I can appreciate the beauty of a car without wanting to see a programme about it.
Here's the thing. This is a picture of Jeremy Clarkson in a small car. Now, that's funny, isn't it?
I won't have a word said against this man. Once I had him on a talk show, and my husband said, whatever you do, don't ask him for a free car. Before he actually hit the leather. I said, Jeremy, can you fix me up with a free car? Anyway, he did about 10 years ago, and I've still been using his name.
He got you a free car?
He got me a deal. I can't say with who.
No.
But so I have to say Jaguar as much as I can.
But would you love it more if you did more classics?
Yeah, I would, because classics look nice. All modern cars look roughly the same, don't they? Roughly.
Oh, no, not a Jaguar.
No, they... If you're going to promote them, at least learn to say it properly.
How am I saying
Jaguar. 3 syllables over here.
Yeah. You say...
You're saying Jaguar.
OK. I don't have time to say that, OK?
This is starting to look like a really bad episode of Top Gear.
I'll tell you what, if he gave her the glasses with that T-shirt, it'd be a really bad episode of Where's Wally?
Rasheen like about modern life? Me.
Selfies.
Yes.
Selfie is a word used for people who take photos of themselves relentlessly and put them online. I don't mind a selfie where people sort of look ridiculous, but the sort of vein like that, that's fine. But the sort of need people have to sort of document their own existence to the point now they just take photos of themselves looking nice and sort of you have lots of young teenage girls sort of putting that face, doing that. And you know what's really upsetting is these people have got like 5,000 followers on Twitter and yet no one to take a photo of them. It's like, at least have the decency to hide your own arm. So it looks like you were with someone and someone else thought your dress was nice enough to photo.
If you can actually crop the pictures
Totally.
and get your
it's the
arm
lack of
off.
intelligence that upsets me the most about selfies.
Even, you know that famous Van Gogh self-portrait? That was, if you actually looked at the original version of that... that was actually a selfie. Are you familiar with hot dogs or legs?
Sorry?
Hot dogs or legs. It's a selfie-based phenomenon. And so what you have to do, people take a photo of themselves, maybe, and you have to guess whether it is their legs or whether it's hot dogs. Here, let me show you an example. It's tricky, isn't it? I'll show you another one. You'll get this one. What do you think?
Hot dogs.
Yes, I think they've used the napkin to try and create a skirt.
Yeah, went too far.
To fool us. This last one, really, this confuses me. I think that that's a leg and a hot dog. Because that
leg
one,
on the left, isn't it?
That one on the right, you don't get a thigh bone that bends in like that normally.
I think that's legs.
I think that's legs.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can I just genuinely say, why are we doing the rest of the show? Can we not just do this for half an hour?
I sort of use selfies in order to send messages. So I've got a few examples that I use. I'm sorry I'm running late. Thanks for dinner. And I haven't actually used this one yet, but I've got it in waiting. Here it is. This is I'm having a heart attack. They've saved me a hell of a lot of time, I must say. Right, well... I know Sean's been looking forward to this one.
Oh, yeah. But I'm definitely not going to win this, am I? Football talk. And all the fools that write songs about it.
What don't you like about football talk?
Oh, come on, it's broken biscuits, it's gaga, it's just... It don't even make sense. Down the middle, Rooney, what? Oh! And then, Van Gogh. Did you watch the game? Oh, listen to it. They went down, they scored, they turned it off. It's just...
No, don't.
You know what? I walk away from him. Anything that... I got in a taxi, right, in Camden. I jumped in, the geezer goes, so where are we? I went, where are we? You're a taxi driver in Camden. No, in the league, cut me reds. Bleeding out tonight. No, do I look like a football fan?
Well, hold on a minute.
Why not talk about science fiction movies or something? Or Clint Eastwood films, you know? Something right on.
I talk about both of those as well.
And you write songs.
Yes.
About it.
Yeah, I know.
You never shut up about it, right?
You're going on a bit yourself. Anyway, let's see what Richard Osman doesn't like about nature.
This is zoo filler.
Now, what is zoo filler?
Zoo filler is all the rubbish animals in the zoo. When you go to a zoo, historically, there's only 5 animals you go to the zoo to see. There used to be 4, there's now 5. You go to a zoo to see the lions, to see the tigers, to see the monkeys, to see the penguins, and now, in the last 5 or 6 years, to see the meerkats. And that's it. And everywhere around those 5 animals, they got all sorts of things. They got fish. You're going to see a pike. You think, so hold on, I've got a lion over here, and a tiger over here. I tell you what, why don't I spend 10 minutes looking at a pike?
You didn't mention giraffes. They're essential.
Do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what's the point?
They're very tall. That's the point.
Well,
They're
they are,
very
yeah, but you know
beautiful.
what? Who isn't these days?
And they look like...
I think I've gone into the zoo in the past thinking I want to see the monkeys. And like I went to Cotswold Wildlife Park, and I went specifically to see the monkeys, and then I saw a giant tortoise, which I wouldn't normally expect to see, and I was really excited about it. It was really massive, and it's kind of like when I first started watching Pointless, I watched it for Alexander Armstrong. And then it turned out there was another creature on set. Now, I like some of the signs that you get in zoos. What about this? My favourite ever danger sign. Oh, how wonderful.
I like to think the crocodile has burped and she's going uphill.
Here's the thing, this is...
Well, there we are. Clear as mud, really, isn't it? So you take 2 of those, and I'll see you in a week. I would like to see doctors go into room 101.
Yes.
Oh, gasp, come on. 6 years in medical school, hundreds of exams, and they can't even bloody write. I mean, have you ever met a more arrogant, self-centred, egocentric bunch of people than doctors?
It's quite a scary experience going to see a doctor.
And it shouldn't be, should it?
No.
It should be a happy, joyous experience where you feel warmed and welcomed and looked after, but people don't. I think the trouble is when you get very academic people, and medicine, you know, usually the brightest kids in school are pushed into doing medicine. Sometimes the most academic people are not always the best socially, shall we say.
Yes.
It's bedside manner, isn't it?
Bedside manner. That, you see, I couldn't even think of the word. That just proves it, doesn't it? And I think possibly...
Bedside Manor, in case you don't know Bedside Manor, it's the sequel to Downton Abbey. Can I ask you a technical question?
Go on, then.
When they...
Well, there we are. Clear as mud, really, isn't it? So you take 2 of those, and I'll see you in a week. I would like to see doctors go into room 101.
Yes.
Oh, gasp, come on. 6 years in medical school, hundreds of exams, and they can't even bloody write. I mean, have you ever met a more arrogant, self-centred, egocentric bunch of people than doctors?
It's quite a scary experience going to see a doctor.
And it shouldn't be, should it?
No.
It should be a happy, joyous experience where you feel warmed and welcomed and looked after, but people don't. I think the trouble is when you get very academic people, and medicine, you know, usually the brightest kids in school are pushed into doing medicine. Sometimes the most academic people are not always the best socially, shall we say.
Yes.
It's bedside manner, isn't it?
Bedside manner. That, you see, I couldn't even think of the word. That just proves it, doesn't it? And I think possibly...
Bedside Manor, in case you don't know Bedside Manor, it's the sequel to Downton Abbey. Can I ask you a technical question?
Go on, then.
When they... What doesn't Sarah like about modern life? Wow.
Death metal.
Death metal?
No, as a DJ, it's my job to respect all genres of music. You know, be it jazz, funk, fusion, drum and bass. But the kind of music that makes me want to pull out my eyes and stuff them in my ears is death metal.
That sounds like a lyric from death metal.
It could well be. I don't mind rock, I don't mind guitar music, don't mind indie music. I've no problem with that. It's just when people are screaming over really heavy, hard music.
OK, in case there's anyone watching who doesn't know what death metal sounds like, it sounds like this. Well, I love it. What doesn't Giles like about modern life?
The electorate.
Yes.
The people who vote.
I should say that is a shot of our audience here tonight. They are the electorate. There's no
They
getting
are.
around
I
that.
used to be a member of Parliament until the people spoke.
Where were you MP for?
The city of Chester. It's actually a beautiful part of the world.
Yes, of course.
And many of them were nice people. This is just an act of revenge on my part. I knew I had contempt for my constituents, but it just came as a bit of a shock to the system to find the feeling was entirely mutual. So I lost my seat. That's the point. I lost my seat at the general election, and I thought, well, they can do that to me. Here's my chance, Frank. Thanks to you, I can do the same to them. I'm now voting for you to go down the plug hole.
Fair enough. So your political policy right now is if you don't vote for me, I lock you in a room.
During the general election, in fact, my darling wife came back to our house one day. I'd been out canvassing, campaigning, and I found the for sale notice outside our house. I said, what have you done? She said, I put our house up for sale. I said, in the constituency, I'm running for election. She said, yes, I know, but I've seen the way the wind is blowing. There's no vapid optimism with my wife, I can tell you. As my wife says to me, Giles, when one door closes, it's shut. Actually, for all MPs of all parties, in my experience, almost all of them, it's a vacation. They do it because actually they want to make the world a better place. All right, maybe the expenses are marvellous, but the wages aren't that marvellous.
The expenses aren't what they used to be.
They are. I want you to know, though, may I say something? May I say something, Frank? I was a respectable member of Parliament. I dug my own moat.
That was just to keep the electorate away. What doesn't Dave like about TV?
Deal or no deal? Oh, Frank, deal or no deal? It's wrong on so many levels. Starting at its core value, you know, it's the product of cosmic ordering, apparently, by Noel Edmonds. Apparently, he gets followed by two orbs. One's the size of a cantaloupe melon, that's his mother.
Two orbs?
Yeah, spiritual orbs. The other one's like a watermelon, that's his father. And they give him positivity.
Is this true?
Yes.
Well, hold on,
not true.
No, let me say true. I'll rephrase it. Is it true that Noel said this?
Oh, yes, he's written a book on it. And what it has resulted in is like a game show that's completely and utterly pointless and devoid of skill. You know what I mean? Like, you watch Countdown, and that's clever.
Yeah.
But deal or no deal, you get somebody sweating buckets going, oh. You know, there's some poor soul there who needs a new wheelchair, and they're praying for what's in that box to make their dreams come true. And he's going, I'll do my best for you. All you've got to do is open the box, haven't you? It's irrelevant. But, you know, then they have specials, don't they? And they never got the production values. They did, like, a music festival one with a portaloo, and they made somebody sit in the portaloo. I just don't like it, Frank.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yes. OK. He'll give you 10 grand to get off the show.
I'm off.
They could spice it up a bit. If they had one box, every show had a box that was completely crammed with wasps. Oh, it's the wasp box! That would make it more exciting.
How many times have you seen this show?
I've seen it quite a bit because I got into it. That's why I hate myself, Ruby.
Yeah, you're addicted.
No, well, I think I broke it now because I'm so disillusioned with myself. I'm more a Countdown kind of person.
Right.
Really. Dictionary Corner, The Sums, Rachel Riley. It's fascinating.
I don't watch Countdown because I'm a Catholic. We can't use a conundrum. Hey, so what is Richard's wild card?
It is people telling me I'm tall. Because believe me, I know. I already know. I'm reminded many times. I'm reminded in my daily life. I bump my head on things. I get tutted at in cinemas and what have you. I don't need people endlessly coming up in the streets and informing me of the fact. I'm 6'7", or I'm 6'8" if I'm trying to get an upgrade on a plane. But you know, lots of people come up to you in the street. And it's lovely, and people are interested if you're tall, and it's exciting, and people are lovely. So by and large, it's fine. But it's the people who shout out of car windows in case you haven't. Hey, you're tall, mate.
So people actually tell you that you're tall?
Oh, endlessly. Well, you know what? There's a class of people in the world who delight in telling anyone they're different, isn't there? You know, and for most people, differences are wonderful things, and we celebrate them. And, you know, so as I say, most people are like that. But there are a group of people as well who, whatever it is in their brains, will delight in letting you know that something about you is unusual. I mean, if your shoelace is undone, that's good. That's helpful. If you're telling me I'm tall, I promise you, it's covered. I was in a shop the other day, and people quite often ask me to get things off high shelves, which is. But as I say, most people are lovely. So I'm in a shop, and there's a lady, must have been 70 odd, very, very short, and she said, "You can get me some eggs from up there, could you?" I said, "Oh, absolutely." So I got and gave it to them, and she just went, "Is there anything I can get you from down here?" Nice.
Look, I've invented something. It's called the height reversal platform.
Okay.
You're 9 inches taller than me.
Yeah.
And it must be for you thinking, God, what's it like for Frank being next to a man who's 9 inches? So the height reversal platform, if you'll come and join me, Richard, means that we can show you what it would be like if you were me,
okay,
as it were. So can you bring on the height reversal platform, please? You'll love it. Okay.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I stand on here, you step into those.
Oh. That's good.
This is what you're like to me.
God, you're tall, aren't you?
Yeah. Can I try these? We can work this out. There you go. People watching this will think, yeah, God, that Richard Osman's dressed smart.
Well, might be blimey, Michael Gove's tall.
Actually, be interesting to see what would happen if we, if instead of balancing, it made
reverse
things
around.
even. Yeah, it made
Let's
things.
blow people's minds, Frank.
Thank you, Richard. The height reversal platform, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, it's about me, selfishly, but I was crossing the road to go to the theatre between a matinee and an evening performance of a show, and it was the only time I got to hang out with my eldest son at that point. And I was crossing the road, and this dude, dressed like a fat Lance Armstrong, comes caning across the road and nearly took his head off, really. I mean, you know, I hate them all. The ones that dress like they're in the Tour de France. And I call them two-wheeled road fascists. And I hate them from the bottom of my heart.
I'd like to add a caveat.
OK.
Could you possibly say two-wheeled fascists in cities?
No, because when I lived in the countryside, on a Saturday morning, I know this is going to sound even more posh, sorry, but I had a horse, right? I had a horse. I don't care, I don't mind admitting it, I had a horse. And I would take my horse, he was a bit nuts, to be fair, he had issues, and I would take my horse up the road, and these fascists would come in their droves, like 3 abreast, racing each other in some imaginary race that they'd invented that morning. I love people who take pride and love in their bikes, and they sedately and serenely go about. And if I had my say, London would be closed to cars for the, you know, for a good mile and a half from the centre. But not these dudes. Seriously, you know, have sex. You don't need to cycle. It's fine.
OK, so let's see what Heston has gone for.
People that put milk in tea first. Oh, I've got to read then. You can start.
One bloke. What's the problem? I have to say that I am one of these people.
Oh, where do I start? So if someone's going to whack a tea bag in a mug and you pour milk in first, it doesn't pull out the flavour of the tea bag as much. So you know something, if you've had that, you have something...
because it's not boiling.
Tea, cold milk, tea, pour the water in, the water's not hot enough to start with, which is where it comes from. It originates when tea was... so Cutty Sark days, that was what the Cutty Sark did. It transported tea. Biggest taxes in Britain at the time were on tea.
Yes, we've gone into the history of tea
No,
here.
but what happened was it was considered...
They might not look like they've got homes, but many of them...
because the tea was a very prized thing.
Yes.
So it was drunk in china cups, pure bone china cups. And they were incredibly delicate. So if the water was too hot and you poured it into the cup, they would break.
Oh, I see.
So what they did was pour a bit of milk in first to temper, to protect the cup from breaking. And that's where it came from.
But I always feel I'm giving the tea bag a bit of a treat to put it in milk. It's a bit like, you know, Cleopatra used to bathe in ass's milk. I see it lying there like that. I get very involved with... You know, if I ever use, like, soluble tablets, I always get really... I feel for them, because I think they're coming out the packet and think, wow, this looks great. Oh, swimming. Ah! I also find, if you don't do that, if you put the milk into the tea, you get that sort of scummy stuff on the surface.
No, you don't.
You
If you
really
put warm
do.
milk in tea,
Look, I proved this today.
You don't.
Other people
Let's
doubted me. This was the surface of my tea, having put the milk in second.
No.
That is true. That's real.
Every morning I make a cup of tea. I drink probably 10, 15 cups a day.
Do you?
It's up to 20. I've never, ever had
Everyone's
that.
gone quiet like you just said it.
In my life. I mean, that's like a revelation.
Like you just come out, you got a drug addiction. Everyone went, oh, my God. Hessen's on 15 a day. This has become an intervention now.
What do you see in that? I see the very hungry caterpillar flying over... flying over Cyprus. That's what I see. I see what Ronnie doesn't like about going out.
Ah, yes. Small talk at parties. Those kind of endless, sort of meaningless but polite conversations that you have to go through when you meet somebody that you don't know at a party, and I'm not very good at it. There normally are things like, there's usually one like, oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in Beckham. Oh, I know Beckham. Whereabouts? Oh, near the Sainsbury's. Oh, which one? Because there are two. Yeah. Well, you know the Duke of Devonshire pub? Oh, yes, I know, because a friend of mine, her cousin used to live round there. Yeah, well, I'm not there. I'm Meredith Road. No, I don't know that. I mean, it's not that I don't love people, don't get me wrong. It's just that life is too short. You just kind of sort of want to jump in with, you know, where do you stand on Nigel Farage? On his windpipe, preferably.
I always used to start by saying nice shoes if I was talking to a woman.
I might write that down. That's quite good, actually.
Nice shoes. Unfortunately, they couldn't hear me. I was on the floor. Usually in a pool of my own vomit. But, you know, different times. I'll tell you, do you ever get that thing when you're talking to someone and they're looking over your shoulder to see if there's anyone more interested?
Yeah. Ever since I've been married, that's happened.
I wear this for such occasions. And then they can't see over my shoulders.
Brilliant.
And the great thing about this is if they turn out to be a bit on the boring side, you can do this and, What is Catherine's choice?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is DJs that join in at the end of the song. I mean, I love the radio.
I've not listened to your show on the radio because it's too early, but I love the radio in the morning.
It's a podcast. But carry on.
So I love the radio in the morning, and, you know, you're listening to a song, they've played maybe, you know, Elvis in the Ghetto or something really moving, a storytelling song. You're in that special place, looking out the window at the morning happening, and then they just have to crash in and butcher it over the last 2 bars because they can't not hear the sound of their own voice for more than 20 seconds. I have actually almost lifted up the radio and thrown it through the kitchen window because it completely destroys. What's the point in playing a song if you're not going to let people get to the nice moment at the end when the song has finished and done its work?
Yes.
Do you do this? Am I putting you into Room 101?
I don't do it that much.
Oh, I didn't realise you did it.
I don't do it off. I interrupt it. I played Vertigo by U2 a while back, and in the middle of it, I came in and started talking.
In the middle? That's even worse.
Yes, because they had interrupted my iTunes music with their album. They started it.
Okay, what does Melanie C not like about modern life?
Oh. The overwhelming choice of toothpastes on the market.
There are a lot.
I've got a little list in my pocket. This is just one brand. I mean, I'm happy with there being lots of brands, but this is just one brand. They offer lots of different things. Whitening, cavity protection, advanced whitening, advanced freshening, sensitive, fresh breath, antibacterial. We have another whitening, which is for sensitive teeth. Then they have gum health. And I just think, but I want all of those things. So why isn't there just one toothpaste that does everything?
This is the one I tend to use. This is Aquafresh. This is, look at that, that's multi-coloured.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Now, there could be a branding opportunity in this, I think, because if you're going to take this as your colour scheme, wouldn't this be a really good logo? Look at that, it's perfect.
Yes, and that would ensure your teeth were really white.
Let's see what's upsetting Robert.
These are couples who communicate with each other over social media. I mean, what is wrong with them? First up, thank you. First up, I couldn't care less about your private relationship whatsoever, at all. Secondly, people make the most disgusting announcements and put them on Facebook and think that that's perfectly reasonable. I'd like to celebrate my husband Nigel is having an operation this week, and we do hope that the repair to his prolapse is successful. I don't care. I couldn't care less. And, you know, why don't you speak to your husband or partner at home? You know, in the secrecy of your...
Now you've gone too far.
Yeah.
No one does that. Not after a couple of years.
It's the death of, you know, relationships and normal communication, not to mention incredibly boring.
I'm missing out on all this. I'm presuming you mean this would be a typical example. I really do have a tremendous husband, and that's from Lucy Porter.
Did you really do that?
Do you know...
That's so terribly embarrassing.
You know...
What doesn't Fiona like about modern life?
I don't like parties where nobody dances.
There we
are.
Can I say, only women Blokes going. So you're a dancer, then?
Well, the thing is, parties where nobody dances are boring. There's nothing worse, I think. You get invited round, people start having a few drinks, there's great music, and people just sort of stay put. For me, if people come round to our house and we have dinner or we just have drinks, whatever, if it doesn't end with a bit of dancing, even if it's just dancing in the kitchen, it's not a success.
You'll dance in your own house.
Yes!
That's insanity.
Really? Yes, I do.
I blame children in need.
I just think it's fun. And look, everyone, you know, what do we think? Yeah, there we are.
Do you ever dance when you're reading the news?
Do you know, I've not done that. I've not managed to pull that one off.
Do you know, if I
No.
do dance, I've learned something from my hero, Beyonce. I'll show it to you now. This is my microphone. Okay, so she dances all in the hips. And as a mother, this would be quite easy for you because you get very powerful hips. And you notice, it's my favorite kind of dancing because this bit remains still to have a conversation. You just go, and like this. And you could just be having a lovely chat. Have a tea. Like this. It's a very safe way to multitask.
I must say, it's won me over.
My case.
I'm not sure I can compartmentalize my body like that, though.
You absolutely can.
I think if my legs start going, everything else is going to
But
join
Frank,
in.
come out, give it a go. Let's see.
How
I
do
bet
we
you
know?
could.
So the idea is, I just think, I imagine from here up, I'm completely still.
Completely still.
And then everything happens down.
That's very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. Life. What doesn't Fiona like about modern life?
I don't like parties where nobody dances.
Oh,
there we are.
Can I say, only women applauding there. Blokes going. So you're a dancer, then?
Well, the thing is, parties where nobody dances are boring. There's nothing worse, I think. You get invited round, people start having a few drinks, there's great music, and people just sort of stay put. For me, if people come round to our house and we have dinner or we just have drinks, whatever, if it doesn't end with a bit of dancing, even if it's just dancing in the kitchen, it's not a success.
You'll dance in your own house.
Yes!
That's insanity.
Really? Yes, I do.
I blame children in need.
I just think it's fun. And look, everyone, you know, what do we think? Yeah, there we are.
Do you ever dance when you're reading the news?
Do you know, I've not done that. I've not managed to pull that one off.
Do you know, if I
No.
do dance, I've learned something from my hero, Beyonce. I'll show it to you now. This is my microphone. Okay, so she dances all in the hips. And as a mother, this would be quite easy for you because you get very powerful hips. And you notice, it's my favorite kind of dancing because this bit remains still to have a conversation. You just go, and like this. And you could just be having a lovely chat. Have a tea. Like this. It's a very safe way to multitask.
I must say, it's won me over.
My case.
I'm not sure I can compartmentalize my body like that, though.
You absolutely can.
I think if my legs start going, everything else is going to
But
join
Frank,
in.
come out, give it a go. Let's see.
How
I
do
bet
we
you
know?
could.
So the idea is, I just think, I imagine from here up, I'm completely still.
Completely still.
And then everything happens down.
That's very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. OK, let's have a look at Sam's choice.
Holding hands.
What?
Oh.
No, I'll give you an example. Okay, no, wait. Just wait. This is good.
OK, the example is, OK, you know when you're walking down a very narrow footpath and you see, like, a loved-up couple walking toward you holding hands, OK? Now, a decision has to be made as to who's going to stand in the gutter of despair and loneliness, OK? Why should I be standing in the gutter of despair and loneliness whilst you're walking past me with your bloody love, yeah? And if I was a single man of one, you look at them and you're thinking, well, you know what, they've got a double disposable income, so they're making more money than me as well. Like, my wife's just gone back to Australia. I went to Tesco the other day to buy myself, like, all the ingredients for a matriciana pasta. Cost me £42. You can at least give me a little bit of concrete. No? Like, the only thing for holding hands for me, OK, is, like, if you're a little boy and you need to cross the street, you hold hands. If you're a little old lady, you need help across the street, you hold hands. So you do it on the way in and you do it on the way out.
It's interesting you say that because I used to hold hands with my partner quite regularly. And I've noticed since I've gone grey, we don't hold hands anymore. Because it looks like I'm being helped.
Actually, I love seeing an older couple holding hands. There's nothing sweeter than this little old grey-haired couple sort of tottering.
Yeah, they're on the way. See what Ian's choice is.
Film Grease. I hate that bloody film. When I was younger, it was all cool, and John Travolta had done Night Fever and all that stuff. He was a great dancer and that, and it's fine because, you know, when you're growing up, it looked pretty cool. They had the cars and everything. But as you get older, and like I've got daughters now, I was watching it the other day, and I thought I don't like Grease now. You know, you got the girls, really decent, Olivia Newton-John, gorgeous, beautiful, nice gear. She's wearing nice clothes. She's wearing everything. She wanted to get the guys, so in the end, she had to dress up in that tight leather, high heel wearing, red lipstick, smoking biker chick to get the bloke. And I thought to myself, I don't want my girls to see Grease.
Wow. So, tell me more. So what's winding up Adil?
Mine is beards, yes, and more importantly, actually, specifically, hipster beards. This sort of... yes, exactly.
So you're talking about these trendy young men you see with the big beards?
Yeah, but how can it be trendy, Frank? I mean, if everyone's doing it, you go to parts of London, it's almost a requirement to go to East London that you have to have a beard. And I'm not talking about East London where all the Muslims are. I'm talking about, you know, Shoreditch, you know.
But I think there is also a requirement there to have a beard.
There is a requirement there. But I just don't see... you know, if it's supposed to be trendy, how can it be trendy if everyone is doing it? I just don't get it whatsoever. And if it is about Muslims, obviously we've been cool for a number of years. That's why we're front page all the time, I guess. You know?
Right. Yeah. In case there's anyone watching this and thinking, what on earth is he talking about? Do young men have beards? Yeah, they do. It's become incredibly fashionable. Here's an example of the hipster beards. There you go. The guy on the right, I think, has got Beyonce hiding under his...
Is it just laziness? Is that what it is, really? Is it lazy?
I think it's partly because the kind of guys who do it, they're very modern young men. And so most of the signs of masculinity, they're not allowed to show anymore. You know, if you look at a woman in a short skirt, just a slight glance, you're a sicko. If you... Sorry? You know, if you hospitalise somebody on a pub car park, you're seen as brutish. Dog fighting's almost obsolete. What is Caroline's wild card?
Knickknacks. Yeah. Bibelots, trinkets, bits and bobs. Basically, I've chosen the things that, as I'm getting older, I find myself mysteriously drawn to. I would not have given house room to a stone with two googly eyes and a tail when I was 45, but the minute I turn 50, I can't walk through a gift shop without touching cushions with tapestry kittens on, or bookmarks with "Darling sister, how I love thee" on them. It's something I think that happens to you when you hit the menopause, and it's a biological response to crap. And whereas before you were perfectly rational, when you hit the menopause, your temperature goes way up, and you start buying fudge and notepads. It's like, you can't...
So why don't you put the menopause then into room 101?
Because the menopause is a result of having been fertile, and without fertility, you wouldn't be here.
Mum!
So, what is Greg's first choice?
The Kardashians. Thank you and goodbye. I thought we'd start big. It's hard to know where to start, really. I suppose my biggest gripe is not the fact that Kim Kardashian has released a book of selfies called Selfish, or that she has released an app game that you can do where you have to go from the E-list to the A-list, and that's how you complete the game. That's annoying.
Take it from me, it's a very long game. I've given half my life to it.
So those are two annoying things. But
Right.
the thing for me is that when I was growing up, we used to watch rubbish telly and look at rubbish reality stars and go, oh, they're embarrassing, aren't they? But we didn't want to be them. But whereas now with the Kardashians, people seem to watch it and go, well, they're idiots, aren't they? But I quite want to be like her. And it feels like there's a lot of particularly young girls that want to be like the Kardashian girls, and for that reason, I'm going to try and put them into room 101. The thing is, I think we need better role models. Okay, so I've actually got a list of role models who are better than the Kardashians. Would you like to hear the list?
Well, it's a 29-minute show, you see.
A list of better role models than the Kardashians. 1. Literally everyone else in the world, apart from murderers, but even then you can argue at least they have done something and have some skills.
Ooh. Whoa.
And that's kind of as far as I
Okay,
go.
so what's upsetting Alan?
Advice, Frank, is what I'd like to put in room 101, because I think maybe I'm arrogant, but when people say, I've got some advice for you, I often just think, nah. don't bother. But a lot of advice is terrible. Like, I think when you tot it up a whole life, there's probably about 3 bits that are any use, and one of them's yellow snow. And the rest of it, I just think, is waffle. Like, just bad advice. Friend told me that he was told when he was younger, dress for the job you want, not for the job you've got. Have you heard that? That's apparently business advice. And people think it's good. It's not. He is serving a custodial sentence for repeatedly impersonating a police officer. I think it's bad advice.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever given Alan any advice. Have I?
I don't think so.
Because comedians do, especially, like, you know, elder statesman comics like myself, sometimes. I remember an American comic saying, he said, I'll tell you something about stand-up comedy, and I thought, this could be handy. He said, always take your wallet on stage. Sensible. Yeah. And another guy, an English, he's a magician, actually, and he said to me, tell you something, I was very new. He said, I'll tell you something, Frank. He said, when you get a BMW, and you will, get power-assisted steering. That is the comedy advice that I've had from in my whole career, that's it. So, what's upsetting Katie?
People with no talent on talent shows. Now, when I watch talent shows,
It really does annoy me when somebody comes on the show to audition and you know already they're going to be rubbish and they'd put them through rather than someone with talent just to make it TV.
Yes.
Like Britain's Got Talent, I love the show, but you know you get some that come on and you know they're rubbish, but they still put them through and say, oh, you're really good.
It's not their fault, though, is it? It's not the rubbish people's fault.
No, I suppose it's the TV
It's the people who put them through.
Well, you could say it was their fault for being rubbish.
But they probably think they're really good. It's like, just tell them the truth, jog on and just get someone on.
One of the things they feel they have to do now is the sad story.
I hate sympathy. As soon as the violins and bloody panpipes and that come,
Yes.
it's like, here we go.
I could have really done with that when I was going to Smethwick's supplementary benefit office in the 70s. The thing is, I am actually looking for work. It's just that, you know, it's so difficult. There was a job recently, and I really wanted it, but I couldn't afford the bus fare. So I know I've been on for nearly 4 years, but I am definitely available for work.
It's a yes from me.
Yeah, there you go. What does Adam Hills not like about modern life?
Abs. There's just so much pressure on, you know, there's fit and there's... I just can't do that. When was it important for people to have really finely honed abs? Do you know what I mean? Like all the sex symbols from the 70s, they didn't have abs. Paul Newman and Robert Redford, they didn't have abs. As opposed to Bruce Springsteen, who was photographed on holidays at the age of 62 with abs that no man should have.
Wow, he looks amazing.
No, he doesn't. That's not right.
Isn't it good that people look all ripped?
I'm happy to look good, but there's something about Bruce Springsteen, I think, tipped it for me, because he was the champion of the working class. He was always the, you know, everything's gone wrong and life's tough, and he's just one of the guys at the mill. And now, you don't get abs like that unless you've got someone helping you. Do you know what I mean? You don't get abs like that from just...
Excuse me.
What?
He has done it all himself. He looks magnificent. Unlike you, you're sort of disgusting flavour.
Oh, my God.
Revolting. When did you pose for this? I think that's...
What about... Do you know Darren Lyons? Are you familiar with
Yes.
Darren Lyons? He
Yes.
was on Celebrity Big Brother, and he had...
Oh, yes,
He had work done to give himself a six-pack, but he didn't bother to lose weight. He just had the six-pack sort of put on the top. This is Darren.
Oh,
no. Is that true, then? Are they implants?
I
Is that
believe
fact?
that they're a sort of a liposuction method,
Well, I mean,
although you
yeah.
can get the same look just by lying face downwards on one of these. OK, so what's Joanna's choice?
I don't even have to say it. Bad toast etiquette. I have a thing, which is that if you put your knife into the butter and then you put the butter on the toast, you spread it with that same knife, then you go back to the butter, possibly even go into the jam, the peanut butter or the Marmite, then put that back in the butter, you're going to have crumbs, jam, Marmite and peanut butter or whatever else in the butter.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a side plate, and you put your toast on it. Then you have your knife, which is for the butter knife, which is only for butter, and then a spoon or something else to get it onto your plate, the jam and the stuff. Put the butter on, then take the butter from the plate onto the toast and back again.
Wow.
I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with you. I like that. Yeah.
I must admit, I quite like to see a bit of jam in the butter.
No.
Looks like a beautiful sunset.
I don't believe you. I think you're... I mean... it is a disgusting sight.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's weird.
Crumbs particularly. I know they're microscopic, but there's something really, for me, very visceral about it, seeing
When
them
I
there.
put the because I do it. That's why I've been a bit quiet. I put the
Here we
I don't
go.
do the Marmite. I do the jam. But what I do when I do go back into the butter after I've been in the jam, I try to go back to where I've left jam and taken that out of the butter.
Yeah.
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 So
yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
trying to clean up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to clean up after myself. So I'm trying to... Anywhere where there's bits of jam, I'll take that bit of butter. And
You'd be amazing at a murder scene.
OK, what doesn't Allard like about nature? Hold it. You'll love this.
Oh, Jesus! This is deep-rooted, isn't it? Can you tell?
Yes.
It's a scorpion. Basically, when I was singing as a kid, I was in Israel, and I was singing on the Little Road to Bethlehem, and the director said, sit on that rock, and we'll film you. And so I went to sit on the rock, and the Israeli floor manager said to me, be careful where you sit, because there's loads of scorpions here that'll kill you. So I'm 11, supposedly singing a nice little carol about Jesus and the like, thinking any minute I'm going to die. So if you spool forward about 4 years, my dad thought it was really funny to hold my hand above quite a few scorpions in a zoo. If social services are watching, they live in Llandegfan in North Wales, by the way.
They'll never find that.
No. So, then, you spool forward again, and I've got 2 kids, and we were abroad, and they were at an age where they have plastic toys, you know, little bugs and stuff like that. And I went to pick up what I thought was a black rubber scorpion, and that tail went up. Oh. And honestly, it was one of the worst moments of my life. It was worse than my voice breaking.
OK, so what is John's choice?
It's those massive pepper grinders. I mean, even the action's disturbing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Somebody comes up to your table, you've got some food in front of you, you're about to enjoy it, they suddenly reach across front of you, would you like pepper, sir? What? Were they from Mordor? Most of them, yes, they are. The fact is, as well, they've cut down a whole tree to make a pepper grinder. The size of the lathe. I mean, they have special lathes to make pepper grinders that size. What an industrial waste. I mean, look at it. It's just ridiculous.
Just in case you're not familiar with what... Actually, I've just pulled the leg off the table. Hold it. This is it. Yeah, these babies.
That's small. That's like a normal size one.
Well, it's quite cold out. There's something very, how can I put this, very male about the big...
Sexist, you see?
It is.
Isn't it?
And yet quite sexy.
You think it's sexy?
It's when done right, must be.
Potentially, when done right by the right man.
Frank could probably do it in quite a sexy way now. Go on. See, there you go.
Oh, it's spooky.
OK, so what is Mira's choice?
Overuse of the word like.
They like that.
It drives me nuts. I was sitting behind a couple of young people. I suppose my definition will be anybody under 25. And the conversation went something like, so I was like, no, and he was like, yeah, and I was like, whatever, and I was like, no, and he was like, yeah. I sat there thinking, I don't actually know what any of that was about. There wasn't any nouns in it. There wasn't any verbs in it, I don't think. It's become this all-purpose filler word, which means nothing. It's robbing us of all our descriptive uses of this beautiful language, which it is. And it makes people sound really thick when they're not.
Oh, you got the crowd on your side. Yeah, well, let's see what Len doesn't like about modern life.
Choice. There is too much choice of everything. I don't care where you go, what you're buying, toothpaste, milk, jeans, everything. My old Sue said, go on your way home, get some milk. I thought, OK. Then I went, There's whole fat, there's semi-skimmed, totally skimmed, 1%, homogenised or something, Jersey milk. They're just milk. It just comes out of a cow. All you want is a bottle of milk. But no, it's ludicrous. I went into a very well-known department store, and I hold my gaze, and I did a bit of research.
I haven't even met your gaze.
I said to the bloke who was folding up some jeans, I said, how many different jeans are there? He said, I'm not sure, about 27. Say something. How can it be? It's the blight of, not just mine, everyone's life. You could turn the biggest supermarket back into a corner shop if you just got rid... Don't get me started on butter.
Well, let me give you some facts and figures. You'll like this, Len.
Only if it's positive on my side.
Well, I think...
Before I carry on, I'm very disappointed with my figure. Look, it's a cut-off of me and that. Look at the artistry in this. He's got little pizza, he's got a knife. Look what I get.
Now, we actually had 3 or 4 good ones, but we knew you wouldn't want to choose. So what doesn't Alexander like about food and drink?
Yes, these are unnecessary cocktail ingredients. Now, I'd just be perfectly plain at this point. I have nothing against cocktails, per se. I think cocktails are marvellous. They're racy, they're fun, they're brightly coloured, they're exotic, they're delicious. They are, let's face it, the perfect way to introduce children to alcohol, which is... I think, actually, no, there's one thing is wrong with cocktails, and that's when you're standing at a pub behind somebody who asks for 4 mojitos. And you know that you're going to be waiting there for half an hour while some sweaty man in an apron picks up some bar truncheon and starts mashing bits of herb with it. Have you ever...
When I next hear someone ask for a brandy Alexander, I shall watch with interest what they're going to get, won't you?
Truly, Henry, you are the voice of the people.
No, I think the cocktail I'm particularly talking about is the one... they're cocktails you make at home, Bloody Mary. The list of Bloody Mary ingredients just gets longer and longer for every year it exists because it's a drink made by hungover people, and hungover people just can never make up their minds what it is they want. They know that something's going to make them better. What they don't realise is that thing is time.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's enough.
People snoring in public places. Trains, planes, lounges, especially if they lean over on you on the train. Oh, my gosh. I went on a plane once with my mother. It was in the late 90s. I was going to Mauritius. And this guy, we hadn't taken off. We must have been sat down 5 minutes. And he literally had fallen asleep within that first 2 minutes, and he started snoring. But he started snoring so loud. I mean, really loud. It was like a thunderstorm happening, right? But he had his mouth open. So I got this magazine, and I rolled up a piece of paper. Mum was going... And I rolled this piece of paper, and I went like this over the seat. And it went in his mouth. It went...
I looked at, they had a list of most annoying train habits, and this was only 19.